These are all the swing trades that I have closed over the last 30 days. All these swing trades have been alerted in Rock and Swing's Discord, which is in many different Discord servers. In this video, I'm going to go through each trade that I made and basically just walk you through my thinking and my reasons for taking the trades and why I exited them when I exited them. Just hoping that this can help those that are following me in Discord and also maybe give you some ideas that can maybe help in your trading as well. Here is ECOR, ECOR. Now I entered this one at the end of August, held this through to the end of September, so just over 30 days, which is longer than I hold most of these trades, but that's just the way it worked out in this case. So I started scaling in around here because I felt like we were breaking this resistance and I wanted to see a breakout. I was looking to fill this gap. So that was how the trade began. And we did break some resistance here, so this is when I started scaling in, but then we started pulling back. So I felt like we were in a wedge at this point, so I waited and I was patient with my ads. So my first ad is always very small, and the reason for that is if the trade changes direction and you decide to take a loss, it's a much smaller loss. So after the first ad and I was committed, I still could have taken a loss around here, but I felt like we weren't breaking the support that we had built, and we were just falling in a wedge, and still the daily trend was still looking okay to me. So I decided to add somewhere around here, and then I added again around here. I ended up with a 98-cent average, and then you can see that we broke out here, and I exited around 116, which was a decent profit, and I believe this was a Friday, and that was why I was exiting. I don't like to hold that much profit over the weekend. It could go either way, and if I'm sitting in that profit, I'd rather just take that off the table. So that's what I did, and you can see that we did have a pullback pretty hard, and I'm not sure where that began, but regardless, I'm glad that I'm doing this video because now I'm looking back at this chart and seeing that we are still sort of clinging around to this original support. So I'm actually going to put this one back on my list to be watched. So NIO, this is an example of how scaling in can definitely help you. And like I said in the last trade, I scaled in. This is the time when the market was pretty beat up and we didn't know if we had hit a floor yet. So I started scaling in around here. My first position, like I said, that I add is very small, and we dipped down to here, and I could have taken a loss here, but I, again, didn't want to because I will take losses from time to time, but I felt like we still had not hit the bottom, which I've seen over here. I've seen different support gathering on the chart, and basically it was just timing this trade, and I had tried it a little bit early, and they'd released some news around this area, and so we dropped. So basically I took advantage of this drop, and I added my second scale in down here, and so there was a lot of fear at this time, but I was still feeling like this chart was going to rebound. I watched the different sector correlations, and Tesla was starting to rebound. So anyways, that had a little bit to do with it. And then I continued to add as we started moving, and we filled this upper gap. And then I exited this a little bit too early. As you can see, I exited around 37. And like I said, I just kind of wanted to take my gains at this point when the market's not running as hard as it was running, let's say a year ago. The price targets are going to be smaller. So as you can see, as time has gone on this month, my price targets got a little bit bigger. But at this point, I was just being a little bit safe. So I did take my 9.18% profit here and exited NIO a bit early. Now, how do I feel about that? When I look back at this chart, does it bother me that I exited a little early and I missed out on some profit here? No, it doesn't bother me one bit. I exited, I took my profit, and I put that into another position. So I basically I just move on from the trade, and that's it. And I try not to beat myself up over any profit that I miss out on, because if you keep doing that, you can keep doing that forever as a swing trader, and it just doesn't work for you. So if you watched my video from the last 30 days, before this 30 days, you've probably seen that I have been playing FCEL all the way up and getting rid of it, basically buying the dips and selling the rips. So that's what I've been trying to do with this one here. I started scaling into it around here. This trend line is new that I have just drawn this now, but it was something that I had been watching. It's more confirmed now, and I had been scaling into this trade right around here and basically got this nice breakout and sold this right around here. Again, not the top. I don't need to hit the top. I just need to have a nice move. SOS I held for a very long time. So back here in, where are we, in August. So somewhere around here I was scaling in because we were going sideways for a long time. And look at the chart back here, like the breakout. I was waiting for that breakout to come. I take profit on a few times on these rips, took the profit and then bought back in, and basically then we started dipping. I basically sold here, rebought in down here, and got my average back down to a decent level, 237, and I was holding in here, basically in the red for a while. But we were going sideways for a long time, and with Bitcoin getting some strength, I felt like that it was okay. I just still felt like this chart was going to have a breakout. So I'm not going to take a loss at this point. If I see like the chart is still looking good to me and I can stand to keep this capital just sitting there waiting, then that's what I'll do, and just manage my other trades on the side while this is happening. So this was weeks and weeks we held here. And then with Bitcoin breaking out, we had a nice breakout. I finally was able to take some profit on this. I'm not in SOS right now, but I'm still watching it, and I'm going to probably re-enter it again soon because I can see it's making a nice little cup and handle, and we're stuck in this little EQ. So keeping an eye on SOS. LI. Now, this is one that I sort of scaled into with NIO right around this area. I even actually did a video on this one, looking for this one to have a breakout. I saw this breakout coming off this falling wedge and scaled in off of this area, and I took such a small profit given how far this chart has gone. But trying not to kick myself over this one, but it bugs me a little bit more because I actually did a video on this one and I knew it was going to break out and I knew it was going to go further. But because there was uncertainty in the market, I basically bailed early and I didn't feel like I could chase it at this point. I'm not going to enter on any of these green days. I want to see some pullback before I'm going to start actually going back in again. So, and it looks like we're starting to do that now. So again, I'm going to keep an eye on LI. So tops. This one, it doesn't look like that bad of a trade, but I consider this one of my bad trades. I had scaled in summer. I started scaling in September, so somewhere around here. And I was watching this channel, but I should have taken profit around this area because I had some pretty decent profit at some point. I entered at 147. I could have taken, I guess it's not that much. Let me see, where were we? 147. I could have taken 10% profit on this one, but I just really wanted to break this 165 level because we kept on testing it. And I believe that we will go back and test it again. So I am watching this one. But when we retraced again after testing it so many times, I decided to just to exit this trade because if you test it this many times and you don't break it, then it's not going to happen anytime soon. So I didn't want my capital sitting here any longer. So I exited this with a tiny little bit of profit, and I'm going to look at re-entering this in the future. I had, this one was around this area. You can see we were going sideways for a while, and this is another one that I like to buy the dips and sell the rips. So we were going sideways for a while. We were forming a base of support down here. I scaled in and basically just waited for liftoff, and here we had it. Did okay here. Exited this one, I think, a little bit early. No, I didn't get the full move, but I got a lot of the move. I'm happy with that 19%. XELA. Now, this is one of the riskier ones that I will alert, and I had been adding in this falling wedge. I knew that we were possibly going to fill this gap, so my ads were small, and I was holding back a little bit to wait until we filled this gap. This is a low float and it runs really, really hard and really fast. So I was looking for a big move here, and I was okay with holding in the red. I was holding in the red for a while here. waiting for my last ad, which I knew would bring my average to a good spot because my last ad was going to be the biggest one. And so we gapped down after filling this gap, and I was watching this RSI, and we were daily oversold at this point. So this being a low float stock, I just knew it wasn't going to take much to run this, and I was watching it and waiting for some volume to come in. As soon as I started to see a little bit of momentum and some levels holding, this was on a shorter time frame, like in the 15-minute time frames, that's when I made my last ad. And I literally made that last ad at 153, and then we took off. And we ran 53% in that one day. But my average was 172 at this point because I scaled in a bit early here. These low float ones, I am more comfortable if I am getting in early, and I would rather sit in the red in the beginning, but then the momentum's here. I want to get in early, and then I'm comfortable to hold it for a while versus chasing. I don't want to chase these. That's just not my style. The momentum and the adrenaline, it's just too much for me. I'll make stupid decisions. So I prefer to work off the daily chart, scale in early, and be there for breakouts that I feel are going to happen, or that the chart is telling me is going to happen. And that's what happened here. We had a great move. And so a lot of the people that follow me in the Discord got that 153 ad. So they had amazing play right here. So congrats to everyone who took this one. And this one's on watch again for another move. So I've got my eyes on it. Now this X trade was a nice easy breezy trade. I had been watching this 2288 level. You can see it was a daily double top. We rejected down here, and then we slowly made our way back up. So I was watching this level. I had an alert set in my TradingView platform. I set my alerts a little bit lower so that when we're trying to break it, I can just take a look and see what's happening here. And I could see that we were trying to break it with a little bit of momentum. So I scaled in. I started scaling in around here, and that is my entry was 2253. So I started scaling in somewhere around here when I saw some momentum coming in, and the next day we basically opened with a gap up, and I'm going to exit it. When we open with a gap up, I'm going to exit soon because I'm always going to be concerned about that gap below us going to be filled. So I took my 9.37% profit after just 3 days in this little trade here. Snap, this one is still on watch. The levels are still oversold. I even did a little video about how this one's going to bounce, but you know, sometimes those bounces don't happen right away. So I was in a little bit looking for the bounce. We started to bounce. I could have taken a profit. It was only like 3 or 4%. And I guess I'm a little greedy. I always look for the bigger profit payouts. And when we started to pull back, I set my stop loss and basically set it above and just took this little profit because I saw a bounce, but I didn't see any follow through. And I want to see follow through on a bounce. And that's what's going to keep me in the trade. So basically, I'm going to keep watching Snap because I want to enter for this oversold bounce opportunity. So this is another example of how scaling in can help you. I was entering this trade a little bit too early. I was scaling in on this wedge, and we dipped harder than expected, and I basically had only added small at this point, so I held back and basically got my average to a decent level. So 964 was where I was, and I still sat in the red for a while here, but then over the last couple days we've had some nice moves, and it's a nice V-shaped recovery here, but we've moved pretty hard over this course of a couple weeks. We've gone up 45%. So I didn't get 45%. I only got 16%, but I feel like a retracement, it was going to happen very soon on this chart. So I took my 16%, and I'll look to re-enter this at a later date after we pull back a little bit. TIGR. Now this is what an oversold bounce with follow through looks like, and this is what I'll be looking for to get from Snap. But I started scaling into this one really early. Maybe I've missed the opportunity on Snap, but we were heavily oversold down here. I made a couple ads in this area, and I was holding at $8, and we were getting some higher highs, and that's what I like to see. We had a gap above here that I wanted to fill. This morning, pre-market, we opened up with this 33% profit, and I just took it right off the table because we had a gap below. That's what it was. We were holding right up around here, and I felt like we were going to drop down and fill that gap. And I took my profit. As soon as we opened, we went up a little bit. I took my profit, and then of course we dropped all day long, and we have filled the gap. So there's no longer a gap. So this one again is on watch for another move in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this video on my last 30 days of swing trades, and you see the style that I trade with. And if this is maybe the style that you're interested in, you can follow me on Discord. The link is in the description. I'm also in many different Discords. You can probably find me in if you just look for Rock and Stock Chick. So if you have any suggestions for any tickers that you'd like me to analyze or any sector analysis videos you'd like me to do, please post them in the comments. I'm always liking to hear from everybody on the YouTube channel.